It's time for Recipe of the Day. We are continuing on our celebration of Canadian Thanksgiving weekend with a delicious creamed corn recipe. You need to have these classic delicious side dishes, whether it's Canadian Thanksgiving or American Thanksgiving. And I'll say, even though I live in Florida now, I do still celebrate Canadian Thanksgiving. I don't have all my family here and everything, but there is definitely a turkey, or sometimes I do a chicken if it's a small group, or a turkey breast. I've done that too. I brine it first, of course. The turkey brine I use is so good. I will link to that in the show notes for you here in case you haven't seen it before. It is by far the most flavorful turkey brine ever. The flavor gets right into the meat. It's unbelievable. So yeah, there are some side dishes going on this weekend at my place. There is turkey and there is pumpkin pie for sure as well. But I'm talking about creamed corn today. Let's stay on track. Not pie, corn. So I think of creamed corn as something that I originally only ever had like from a can. And then I had a homemade version at a restaurant. It was like one of those barbecue places that has a whole bunch of different side dishes that you can have. And they had creamed corn. I tried the creamed corn and I was like, oh my God, this is a whole different thing. I had no idea. And so I had to make it myself, figure it out, and come up with a recipe for the website, which I am now sharing with you. So the first question, if you're making this at home, what kind of corn should you use? The good news is you can use any kind of corn that you have. So if you have frozen corn, you want 16 ounces. That's 1 pound. It's about 3 cups that we're doing. And you want to make sure that you defrost it before you start making the recipe. And if you defrost your corn in water, then drain it. If you're just defrosting it as is in a bowl in the microwave or whatever, you don't have to drain it. It's fine. You can use canned corn. You need 3 cups and there is 1.5 cups in a 15-ounce can. So you will need 2 cans to make up that 3 cups and you will drain that. So just get out a sieve and pour your cans of corn into the sieve, shake it a couple times. That is great. You will have 3 cups after you drain it. And if you are using fresh corn on the cob, you do have to cook the corn before you take it off the cob. That's the easiest thing to do. And I find the easiest way to cook the corn is in the microwave. I will link to how to cook corn on the cob in the microwave. You'll need 3 to 4 cobs of cooked corn to make up the 3 cups of corn called for in the recipe. Okay, now you know what kind of corn you need. We can jump into this recipe. You're going to get out a large skillet, put it over medium heat and melt 3 tablespoons of butter in there. And then you're adding 1 medium-sized onion, finely chopped. You really don't want big pieces of onion in this. And you're cooking that in the butter over medium heat just until it's translucent. That's about 3 to 5 minutes. You want to stir it fairly often. Then reduce the heat down to low. And that is when you're stirring in those 3 cups of corn. You're also adding a 1/2 teaspoon of sugar. That just brings out a little bit of the sweetness in the corn, a 1/2 teaspoon of salt and a 1/2 teaspoon of black pepper. Then stir that and then sprinkle it all with 3 tablespoons of all-purpose flour. Stir, and then while you're stirring, you drizzle in 1 cup of heavy cream. Instead of that cream, if you wanted to, you can use half and half, or you can use whole milk or a mixture of the two. Those will all be really good. You could also use canned evaporated milk if you want to go a little bit lighter. Even the fat-free version will taste pretty good in this. I just want to remind you that dairy can curdle if it comes up to a boil, and it's more likely to curdle the lower the fat content it has. So if you use the heavy cream, it will probably not curdle at all. But if you use the fat-free evaporated milk, it could. So you just want to make sure that you just bring this up to a simmer and then drop the heat right down to low. And that is essentially what you're doing no matter what kind of milk you are using. Oh, you can use oat milk in here as well. If you want to make this dairy-free or even vegan, you can use a cooking oil instead of the butter, and then you can use oat milk instead of the cream. I would just say look for a plain barista blend. That is the kind of oat milk that you would use if you're making fancy coffees. It is really nice and rich and is a great substitute for heavy cream in this recipe. So yeah, you add in that cup of cream or whatever it is you're using, bring it up to a simmer and then drop the heat down and just stir and cook until it's nice and thick. It's going to be 2 to 3 minutes. And then you get to find out just how much better homemade creamed corn is than canned cream corn. It is revolutionary. I cannot wait for you to try this. I will put the link to this recipe in the show notes for this podcast episode, or you can head to cookthestory.com/ROTD and get it there, or find it in our Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/recipeotd. And hey, just a quick note. I'm on a recording hiatus right now, so for the next little while, I'm replaying episodes from the archives, including this one. If you heard me mention a holiday, a season, or something going on in my life that seemed a bit off, that's why. Thanks so much for listening, and I hope you're enjoying these older episodes. I am Christine Pittman from cookthestory.com, thecookful.com, cookfor2.us, and from this podcast, Recipe of the Day. I hope you have a great day. Let's get cooking.